this country is worth fighting for. And right now, we need a leader that has morality at the core of what they do.
I approve this message.
I can't do that.
Okay. Huh? They're looking for Mike.
I wasn't expecting this. Okay.
I like Mike. I just love Mike.
I think Mike is great for America because he really cares about the people.
Mike has common sense ideas.
I think Mike will be able to bring Democrats, Republicans, and independents together for the good of America, and that's all that matters.
Mike is the real deal. He is the American dream.
With Mike, they're not empty promises. He will deliver.
He is real, reliable, responsible.
He's a man of our time. He's a man of talent. He's a man that'll get the job done.
He's someone who cares about health care.
Mike Bloomberg delivered on health care to the people of New York, and I believe he'll do it for the rest of us as president.
Mike fully supports reproductive health of women and their right to choose.
He understands that gun violence is an epidemic in the United States and that gun violence prevention is the answer.
He cares about LGBT people, about immigrants.
Specifically on the issues of climate change, he's really working hard to make sure that we get our emissions down and that we make the planet safe for everybody.
And that's the reason why I like Mike.
I like Mike.
I like Mike.
I like Mike because he gives me hope.
I like Mike because he's an accomplished leader.
I like Mike because he's the kind of guy that gets things done.
What don't I like about Mike?
I like Mike.
I like Mike.
I like Mike.
I like Mike. I like Mike.
I like Mike.
We like Mike. We like Mike.
I like Mike because he is the best candidate to take it to Donald Trump.
Women for Mike and Virginia Democrats, please welcome the mayor of Leesburg, Kelly Burke.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. This is absolutely wonderful, and I like Mike. My name is Kelly Burke, and I am the mayor of Leesburg, Virginia, the largest town in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I can't tell you how wonderful it is to see all of you here today. I come to you today as a proud Virginian, a proud lifelong Democrat, and as a proud member of the Women for Mike National Leadership Council. I hope you've all had your coffee, because we have lots to do. And you all know it. This is an incredibly important election. And you wouldn't be here at 9:30 in the morning on a Saturday if you didn't know that already. We have an obligation to make sure that everyone comes out to vote and that we count all those votes. Women make up approximately 60% of the Democratic primary voters. So if you want to make a mark on this election and put an end to Trump, now is the time to make your voice heard. Virginia will be critical. We can't take any votes for granted, which is why, after this, we're going to go out and we're going to knock on doors, and we're going to talk to the voters, and we're going to make sure everyone within earshot knows that Mike is the best candidate we possibly could have. Everyone in Leesburg knows that I am an avid believer in knocking on doors. I ran for election 2 years ago and knocked on 7,000 doors in Leesburg. I won the election by a landslide against 2 opponents, and we're going to do the same thing for Mike. And we need to do it all the way through Super Tuesday and then straight into the November election. We're going to send Mike walking in the front door of the White House and the Trumps slinking out the back. So we've got a lot of work to do. We have to let people know that Mike is the best candidate in a lifetime. Someone who's done more in business and in government than anyone that I can think of. That's because Mike is a doer. And as one of the more than 100 women on the Women Leadership Council, we know that Mike gets things done for women and has all of his life. Now, I'm not a New Yorker, although my husband is. But I'm a Virginian, and I know that we have lots of New Yorkers here this morning. I hear we got a couple from Chicago and New Jersey and other ways too. Yay, yay! And we all know that New York City is safer, cleaner, and better for women and families. And this was done by Mike. When he started and when he was finished, New York was a better place to live and to be. With our help, he can do it on an even wider scale. Now, he's gotten things done in Virginia, while he helped turn out the House of Delegates blue. And he's the only candidate, in my opinion, who can rebuild the blue wall and put the president that we have now out of business. The bottom line is, while candidates like Sanders and Warren were in the Senate and casting votes, pragmatists like Mike actually got the things done. And that's what we need. With so many pressing problems, now is the time to elect experience, not experiment with a novice. So let's do this, Virginia. Let's get ourselves an excellent commander, and let's get ourselves a president who speaks to the issues that we care about. Climate change, women's reproductive rights, immigration, common sense gun laws, and one that's very near and dear to me as a teacher, excellent schools for our children, and equity for everyone. And the guy that's going to do it is Mike Bloomberg. I don't know about you, but I have a feeling that you, like me, are here to make sure Mike Bloomberg is the next president of the United States. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for listening to me. I'm now going to turn this over to someone who's been working hard to get Mike elected. Lena Idelson will be talking to you next. So thank you all very much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Mayor Burke. Hello, Team Mike. How's everyone doing this morning? My name is Lena, and I am one of Mike's field organizers here in Northern Virginia. And in fact, I was born and raised right here in Nova. I grew up here. Oh, thank you. I went to school here. Any South Lakes fans? No? Okay, that's fine. Oh, thank you, there's one. Thank you. Yep. And I helped flip our state legislature and 2 bordering county supervisor boards here last year. Thank you. I started working on this campaign because I know that Mike will get it done, not just for me in the community I grew up in, but most importantly, for everyone in this Commonwealth. A lot like Mike, I've dedicated my time and effort over the last 3 years to making sure we had a Democratic-controlled Congress in turning Virginia's state legislature blue for the first time in over 20 years. Unfortunately, no matter how much progress we make, it only means so much when we have someone like Donald Trump introducing hateful platforms like the travel ban. They're trying to repeal and never replace the Affordable Care Act. Or just his complete inability to handle a country in crisis, which we see every day in the news. So I'm here today to ask you to think about how you felt in the November in 2016. Oh, there we go. I want you to use some of those emotions to fuel you to do everything in your power to make sure that we replace Donald Trump and to put a proven leader in his place who has a track record of getting things done. As Mayor Burke said, we need you to please come and knock on doors, make phone calls, and talk to your friends. And we need you to sign up to volunteer to canvass with us after today's event. Those face-to-face conversations are the best way to get people to the polls and specifically to get them to vote for Mike. With less than 4 days until Super Tuesday, you taking the time to help us knock, even for just an hour or two, could be the difference between us getting a delegate in any of the congressional districts. And we here in Virginia know what happens when we stay home and let the counts come too close. And we know what happens when we show up, because we've done it ever since 2016, and we are not going to stop now. You can also help us by following us on social media, posting photos from today, and amplifying our messages on Twitter and Facebook. Share with your friends and family and neighbors why you like Mike and why they should join us in these last 4 days. And please, most importantly, you can help us all by voting for Mike Bloomberg this Tuesday. I promise you it'll be the easiest, best choice you've ever made. Now, I have to know, is everyone fired up? Oh, no. Is everyone fired up? Are we gonna beat Donald Trump this November? That's what I thought. And now to talk about Mike's decades of fighting for women's rights and why they have made the choice to work with him. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to a group of Bloomberg alumni, along with our National Director of Women's Outreach, Fatima Shama.
Shama, and I'm the National Director for Constituencies and Coalitions, which includes our Women's Outreach Program on the Bloomberg campaign. What a wonderful crowd this morning. I want to thank you all for getting up early to be here with us. I am proud to be joined on this stage this morning with all of these amazing women you see standing here, and all of those amazing women you see standing there. We all have something extraordinarily in common. Aside from the belief that women have a critical role to play in this election, we've all worked for Mike Bloomberg for the past 3 decades. And we are all women for Mike. I count among these women my colleagues and friends, and even those who I don't know personally. We share a special camaraderie because we have had the privilege of working for Mike Bloomberg. And given how important Virginia is to all of us on Super Tuesday, we thought it would be great to join you this morning and introduce our old boss. Some of us have worked with Mike at Bloomberg LP, the company he founded from scratch, which has grown to be one of the most successful and well-regarded companies across the world. Some of us, like me, have worked alongside him in City Hall in New York, where he brought the city back from brink after 9/11 and helped it flourish. And some of us have worked with him at his foundation, Bloomberg Philanthropies, where the philanthropies marry Mike's commitment and learnings from business and government and looks for problems that others can't or won't touch. And they solve them through his philanthropic investment. But all of us represent the breadth of talent you will find among the women at all the Bloomberg organizations. And the culture that Mike has created that invites each one of us to be a part of leading forward with him. And that is as true for me as it is for everyone on this stage. I grew up in the Bronx in New York City as the child. Nice job, crowd. I grew up in the Bronx in New York City as the child of immigrants, and I started working with Mike at City Hall in 2006. First as a policy advisor, and after a couple of promotions, Mike appointed me the Commissioner of Immigrant Affairs. It was a dream trajectory. According to statistics, my zip code should have determined my educational outcomes, and therefore, I likely would have not ended up here in front of all of you this morning. But as hard work, determination, and opportunity can prove, my trajectory took me to be among those working alongside Mike to ensure that no zip code would determine the future of any child in our city. I did that work with Mike Bloomberg, alongside him, guided by his leadership and commitment to children and communities like mine and so many others across this city, across our city. This has been my story, and like many women who have worked with Mike, this is our story. I was a professional balancing my career and family life. I had 2 children while working at City Hall. I am a very proud mother of 3 boys. It's never easy when a working mom is trying to balance and be good, or dare I say great. But under Mike's leadership, it was all possible. There's no finer leader. His trust in the people who work for him is unmatched. His respect for us as professionals, as women, is unquestionable. It has been an amazing opportunity for me, as a woman, to work with Mike. I want to be valued for my work, to be paid equally for it, to be an integral member of an inspiring and inclusive team, and it's what I had, and it's what we have all had. No matter which Bloomberg organization all of us on this stage and the stage behind us have worked on, the one thing we have in common is that there are places where organizations that Bloomberg has invested in and that we have worked in are all places that allow us to thrive, where we are partners at the table, where we are paid equitably, and where policies that Mike sets with our input align with our say. Bloomberg LP has the most generous family leave policy of any US news organization. Mike made New York City a national leader in the fight against domestic violence and oversaw a 41% drop in domestic violence homicides while he was in office. He pioneered family justice centers, which are one-stop shops where survivors of domestic violence can access support and services. He leveled the playing field for women and minority-owned businesses by expanding access to city contracts and creating new loan programs to help these businesses cover upfront costs. And he mandated that all New York City public hospitals train their OBGYN residents in the full suite of reproductive rights, access, and care. This isn't lip service or some fly-by-night policy introduced because someone's running in an election. It's an actual track record. With actual people like us who have been there with him leading forward. You can't fully get to know a person from a TV ad or a debate, or from reading interviews, we dare say. But you can get to know the measure of a person by working with them over decades, which all of us have. And if you want to know what life might look like for women in the United States of America under a Bloomberg administration, well, let us assure you it will be great. Because Mike will continue to build on his commitment to women and our successes as mothers, as professionals, and as partners leading this country forward. It's why hundreds of us have all come back from wherever we were to be part of ensuring that Mike Bloomberg will be our next president. It's also why so many of us have continued to work with him over so many years, and we will stick with him through thick and thin, through all of this, to ensure he is the next president of the United States of America. Now let me introduce some of my friends who have been some of the most amazing women who have worked with Mike over many years.
I have worked with Mike for 25 years.
I have had the honor of working with Mike for 20 years.
I have worked with Mike for 11 years.
I have worked with Mike for 23 years.
I've worked with Mike for 28 years.
I have worked with Mike for 23 years.
I have worked with Mike for 15 years.
I have worked with Mike for 20 years.
I have worked with Mike for 18 years.
I have known Mike for 30 years.
I have worked with Mike for 18 years.
I have worked with Mike for 18 years, and I get to sit next to him every day.
Now, Women for Mike with us this morning, I have some questions for you. Do you want a country where you have a say? Yes! Do you want a country where you are respected and heard? Yes! Do you want a country where your rights are protected and secure? Yes! Do you want a country where being female is fabulous? Yes! Then we need you, Virginia. We need you this Tuesday. We need you to help us ensure that we are going to defeat Donald Trump. Can we all agree Can we all agree, gentlemen in the room, there are lots of fabulous men in this room. You are the fathers, the brothers, the sons, the grandfathers of amazing women in your lives. And so today, I ask you to be part of our Women for Mike movement. Today, I ask you to support your daughters, to support your wives, to support your sisters, and be part of the Women for Mike movement. Are we ready to be part of the Women for Mike movement? Are we ready to be part of the Women for Mike movement? Now, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all of these amazing women on this stage and the one behind us, it is my honor to introduce our colleague and the next president of the United States of America, Mike Bloomberg.
Thank you. Well, good morning, Women for Mike. I am Mike for Women. Nice to meet you. And thank you, Fatima, for that kind and generous introduction. You gave it exactly the way I wrote it. And to everyone who is up here with her, I just want to say, I wouldn't be standing here without you. We have been through so much together over the years, including snowstorms, didn't do that right all the time, hurricanes, even an earthquake. And when you've survived several natural disasters together, you better like each other, and we do. Speaking of natural disasters, I'll get to Donald Trump in a minute. But first, I wanted to thank Mayor Burke for her kind words and support and for being a member of our Women's Leadership Council. And a big thanks to Lena and our whole team here for all you're doing to help us win on Super Tuesday. It's great to be here in Nova, just a 20-minute drive to D.C. on a good day, which is never. It's about 9:30 a.m., so that means the president has just had a few hours of TV watching before he starts his day. But we're only a few miles from the White House, so let's make sure the president can hear us loud and clear. And let's make sure that on Tuesday he hears from us even louder and clearer. But seriously, before I talk about this campaign, first I want to say a little bit about the immediate crisis facing our country and the world, the coronavirus. The fact is, President Trump was briefed on the coronavirus 2 months ago, but he buried his head in the sand, and his failure to prepare is crippling our ability to respond now that it's at our front doorstep. The president has tried to slash funding for the Centers for Disease Control and other essential health agencies. He's fired the entire White House team in charge of response to pandemics. He predicted that this was all going to be over in a couple of months, but the president, as we all know, is not a scientist, and that's a nice way to put it. He doesn't even believe in science. And his incompetence puts us all at risk. And last night, one of his rallies, he even called the virus a Democratic hoax. You can't make this up. At a time when the president should be putting politics aside and rallying the American people behind him, he continues to divide by playing partisan politics. We just can't do this. In times like this, we need strong, proven leadership in the White House. We need someone who actually has led during a crisis, who believes in science, who invents in prevention and prepares those who listens to experts. We need someone who understands that the U.S. is responsible both for keeping America safe from a pandemic and for helping to lead the global response to combat it. We need a president who will protect the health of the American people, and their number one priority is that at all times. And I can promise you that's the kind of president I will be. Now, I've been running at breakneck speed since launching this campaign. I have been to 68 cities in 27 states in 12 months. And a lot has changed during that time. My poll numbers have gone up, and so has my barbecue intake. You have no idea how many places serve barbecue. But one thing is as true as today as ever before. All of my success, everything I've done, is thanks to the strong women that I've been lucky enough to have around me. You've just heard from some of them, and women have truly been the backbone of this campaign. People like Patty Harris, my campaign chair and closest advisor, and Kim Molstray, who's been with us at City Hall, and Lauren Rudifer, who helped put this event together. I really couldn't do this without them or any of the other women who've been with me since day one of my journey. We're going to have a big day on Tuesday, and it certainly won't be because of the men, I can tell you that much. But the most important female influence in my life was the first woman I ever met, literally my mother, Charlotte. My sister Marjorie and I learned so much from her. In fact, I've never stopped learning from her. I used to call her just about every morning when I got to work until she passed away at 102 years old. I do miss her very much, and I wish she could still give me advice, but I know what she'd say if she saw the crowds that were drawing around this country. Don't let it go to your head. But I also know that she'll never be truly gone because my daughter's inherited her smarts and her toughness. And it's clear that my granddaughter Zelda has too. So Zelda, if you hear about this, to quote your great-grandmother, don't let it go to your head. And I can tell you, my mother's voice is still on the answering machine at home. My sister and I still have the house, and if you want her, you can call her and she'll say hello. Don't have a longer conversation, she might not answer. Now, I've always said that the greatest influence I can leave my children and grandchildren is to make a world a better place for them and for their families. It is the least I can do for the people who made my world so much better, and that's exactly why I decided to run for president. Under this president, so many values I hold dear are at risk, because President Trump has attacked women and women's rights from the moment he swore the oath of office. And he threatens women's health and women's safety through his policies and his judicial appointments. We cannot let it continue any longer, and I promise you and I won't. Because as president, I will fight with you to protect the health and rights of all women. And on my first day in office, I will reverse the damage President Trump has done to women's rights with the goal of ensuring every woman has access to reproductive health care. And that includes taking the fight nationwide because state by state, too many women have had restricted access. And that's why it's so important to flip the Virginia legislature blue this fall, and I was glad to help get it done. I will also work with Congress to codify Roe v. Wade into law, which is long overdue. And I will continue to support Planned Parenthood as I have for years. And we will push Congress to finally reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act while increasing funding for rape and sexual assault prevention. But that's just the start, because fixing the damage done by Donald Trump isn't enough. We don't need to tell anyone. It's not as if this country was a utopia for women before 2016. And you can just go ask my friend Hillary Clinton. She'll tell you. So I'm also going to confront wage discrimination head on and make it a thing in the past in American workplaces. And to be clear, that means making sure get women paid the same salary for the same job, not 85 cents on the dollar. I will ensure that everyone has at least 12 weeks of paid family leave, because no parent should have to choose between caring for their baby and putting food on the table. I will also tell you I'm so proud that at my company, 26 weeks is the norm for care. And I will guarantee access to a full-day pre-K and 3K for every child in America. We will get this done, and together we'll build a country where women don't have to fight for equality. It will be the status quo. But first, we have to win an election. And that starts with winning right here on Tuesday and then again in November. Because as you all know, the road to the White House goes right through the Commonwealth of Virginia. So when we wrap up here this morning, I hope all of you will help our Virginia team get out the vote. And I hope you will tell your family and your friends and neighbors just how important their votes are. And if they ask you, what's Bloomberg's campaign all about, just tell them. Bloomberg is running to defeat Donald Trump. And Bloomberg is running a campaign for change, a campaign for sanity, a campaign for honesty, a campaign for inclusion and compassion, and a campaign for human decency. Bloomberg is running to restore honor to our government and to build a country that we are proud of and to start getting things done. And to start putting the United back in the United States of America. Now, back in 2016, I spoke at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia, and I warned that Donald Trump wasn't fit for office. And then in 2018, I worked to help hold him accountable by flipping 21 House seats. That made Nancy Pelosi Speaker and allowed us to begin holding Trump accountable through the impeachment process. This year, we all know the Trump strategy. Attack Democrats. Make their plans look unrealistic, unaffordable, and undoable. Well, that won't work against us here today, right? Look, I have a record and the resources to defeat him in swing states that Democrats lost in 2016 and to compete and win in states like Virginia. I know we can do it. But to get it done, we need to nominate someone at the top of the ticket who can build a broad coalition that rallies Democrats and attracts independents and moderate Republicans. That's what I've done in all 3 races I've run, and I've won them all. Now, I know I'm not a typical politician. I've never worked in Washington. I don't make pie-in-the-sky promises. And as you've seen in the debates, I'm not someone who just yells slogans even when they're not true. I believe we need a leader who is ready to be commander-in-chief, not chief college debater-in-chief. So if you want someone who talks turkey and who has a record of accomplishment in all of the big issues facing our country and who has the resources to beat Donald Trump, that's me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Look, let me tell you something. I give virtually all of my company profits to charity, and there's no better investment I can make in the future of our country than spending to defeat Donald Trump. And if you think this campaign is expensive, just imagine what 4 more years of Donald Trump would cost. It would be a catastrophe, and I'm in this race to stop it. Somebody said to me a few weeks ago, this campaign's costing a lot of money. And I said, yes. And he said, you shouldn't spend all that money. I said, well, I'm spending it to remove Donald Trump. He said, oh, spend more. And even though Donald and I are both from New York, we couldn't be more different. I describe myself as the un-Trump. Just think about it. He breaks promises, I keep them. He divides people, I unite them. He's a climate denier, I'm an engineer. I actually believe in science, imagine that. He tweets, I follow facts and respect data, and to tell you the truth, he looks out for people who inherited their wealth like him. I started with nothing other than my parents teaching me hard work and ethical behavior. And I can tell you, I will raise tax on the wealthy to get the revenue we need to start fighting income inequality and paying for infrastructure, investing in emergency preparedness, extending health care, improving education, and all the other things we need to strengthen our great country. My whole career, I've been a doer, and I believe we need less talk, less partisanship, less division, less tweeting. In fact, how about my commitment, no tweeting from the Oval Office ever again? Well, it's easy for me to make that commitment since I can't spell. But then again, neither can Donald. Now, I've been pretty blessed in life. There's nothing that Trump can do to hurt me, and I don't think there's anything Trump can do to hurt you. But he has hurt a lot of other people, and that's why I'm running. to stand up for every American who has lost a job, lost their insurance, who can't pay their college tuition or pay off their student loans. Thank you. You've all heard the slogan, Mike will get it done. Well, let me tell you what the it is. It means winning this November and sending Donald Trump back to Mar-a-Lago permanently. But that's just the beginning, because getting it done means finally providing health insurance to every American who lacks it and lowering the cost for everyone else. Getting it done means passing common sense gun safety laws that protect our community and children. Getting it done means making America a global leader in the fight against climate change. Getting it done means creating good jobs with higher wages. Getting it done means addressing discrimination and inequality. Getting it done means finally fixing our broken immigration system and creating a path to citizenship for 11 million people. Getting it done means protecting a woman's right to choose and appointing judges who will defend that. Now, it won't be easy, but I know we can do it. Because unlike other candidates, I don't just talk about doing things. I have a record of reaching across the aisle and getting them done. And I thought I'd just give you a couple of examples how reaching across the aisle works. Other candidates talk about raising teachers' salaries. As mayor, I raised them by 43%. They talk about improving public schools. I actually raised graduation rates by more than 40%. Others talk about improving health care. In New York, I cut the number of uninsured by 40%, improved care for mothers and babies, and raised life expectancy by 3 whole years. So, as Diana would say, just saying, but you don't have to move to New York if you want to live longer. Just vote for me and you'll live longer. Others talk about fighting climate change. In New York, we cut New York's carbon footprint by 13%, and we helped replace 300 dirty, polluting coal-fired power plants with cleaner energy. Others talk about stopping gun violence. In New York, we did it. We created a gun safety group with 6 million members that's working to pass common sense gun laws around this country. And it's the moms that deserve action in that group that have really made the difference. I know how to bring people together to solve problems. That's how I ran my business, and that's how I ran New York City. After the devastating terror attacks of 9/11, all of the other states came together to help New York and a lot of countries as well. We came to work together and we created 500,000 jobs after 9/11, 175,000 units of affordable housing. We reduced street homelessness by 30%. We launched new programs to fight poverty, and we rebuilt our city stronger than ever. And over the past two decades, along with you, I've taken on the toughest fights and won. And we've together taken on Donald Trump and won many times. We beat him on gun safety. We beat him on coal pollution. We beat him on flipping the House blue in the 2018 election. And we are ready to do it again together. But I can't do it alone. I need your help, I need your support, and your vote. And I need you to talk to your friends and your family and knock on doors and make telephone calls. Tell everyone you can about our campaign and how important this primary is. And when you talk to them, just tell them, if you want quality health insurance for everyone, not empty promises, if you want to combat inequality with fairer taxes and better jobs, if you support my commitment to quality public education no matter what zip code you live in, if you share my belief for opportunity for all and not just for the few, if you are ready to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, if you are ready to clean out the Oval Office and get things done, if you are ready to once again have a president who supports and empowers women, and if you are ready to have someone in the White House who doesn't attack women's rights but instead fights for them using the full power of the presidency, then welcome to Bloomberg 2020.